everyone. I hope you had a great weekend and you're ready to embrace the new week ahead. Before I review the work for this week, I just want to remind you that this week marks the third and final grace period in our course. You may submit past due assignments from weeks 8 to 11 without penalty until the end of the day on Sunday, November 19th. And you'll find that the folders for weeks 8 to 11 are open and available to you. Let's check out the work for this week now. So for week 12, you'll continue reading and analyzing Kindred by submitting quiz number 7. After watching the video characterization, respond to the following questions. Question 1. Based on the video, how would you define characterization? 2. What are the different types of characterization? How would you define them? 3. What is the difference between a round and a flat character? 4. It is clear that Dana is the protagonist in Kindred. Who or what would you say is the antagonist so far, and why? 5. Based on your reading of Kindred and your understanding of characters from the video, who is a round character in the novel? Who's a flat character? Why do you think so? This quiz is worth 5 points and is due by the end of the day on November 15th. Next, participate in discussion forum number 12, The Fight. After reading the chapter The Fight, pages 108 to 188, respond to 3 out of the 6 following questions in your discussion forum response. So you're picking 3 out of these 6 questions to respond to in your main post. You can choose question 1. The chapter begins with Dana's recollection of Kevin and Dana's decision to get married. Return to pages 108 to 112. What are Kevin and Dana's family's reactions to their decision to get married? What racial issues do you think are raised in their family's reactions? Or you can choose question 2. On pages 116 to 117, Dana says, then somehow I got caught up in one of Kevin's World War II books, a book of excerpts from the recollections of concentration camp survivors, stories of beatings, starvation, filth, disease, torture, every possible degradation, as though the Germans had been trying to do in only a few years what the Americans had worked at for nearly 200. Also on page 141, Dana mentions, the fire flared up and swallowed the dry paper, and I found my thoughts shifting to Nazi book burnings. In a book about slavery and the antebellum South, why do you think Butler decides to include these references to the Holocaust and Nazi Germany? Or you can choose question 3. On page 124, Rufus proclaims his love for Alice, and he tells Dana, if I lived in your time, I would have married her, or tried to. What are the key differences between what Rufus wants in 1825 and what Dana and Kevin have in 1976? Or you can choose question 4. Dana realizes something startling about Rufus's father, Tom Whalen, saying, his father wasn't the monster he could have been with the power he held over his slaves. He wasn't a monster at all, just an ordinary man who sometimes did the monstrous things his society said were legal and proper. Page 134. Why does Dana make this distinction between a monster and an ordinary man doing monstrous things? What bigger statement do you think Butler is saying about the nature of evil and society? Or you can choose question 5. On page 140, Rufus is reading a book that Dana brings back to the past from the future. By reading the book, Rufus discovers that the Union wins the Civil War and the slaves are freed. At first, he believes that the book is the biggest lot of abolitionist trash I ever saw. But Dana corrects him, saying, that book wasn't even written until a century after slavery was abolished. Hearing this, Rufus makes this shocking statement. Then why the hell are they still complaining about it? What is the significance of Rufus's statement? In his use of the word complain, what does this reveal about his perception of the enslaved and their attitude toward their enslavement? Why is it important to learn about slavery even now? Or you can choose question 6. At the bottom of page 145, Dana reveals her attitude toward Sarah, saying, now Dana uses a word in this quotation that I won't say, but this is a word that she uses. So in my reading, I'm just going to omit the word. So Dana says about Sarah, she had done the safe thing, had accepted a life of slavery because she was afraid. She was the kind of woman who might have been called Mammy, in some other household. She was the kind of woman who would be held in contempt during the militant 1960s. The handkerchief head, the female Uncle Tom, the frightened, powerless woman who had already lost all she could stand to lose, and who knew as little about the freedom of the North as she knew about the hereafter. I looked down on her myself for a while. Moral superiority. What do you think about Dana's attitude towards Sarah's acceptance of being a slave? Do you think her judgment of Sarah is fair? Why or why not? In your reply to your peer, you may point out the similarities in your response, challenge your peer, ask questions, and or note what you have learned from your peer's post. So this discussion form is worth 10 points. The main post is due anytime on November 15th, and your reply to your peer is due by the end of the day on November 17th. If you would like to meet with me in person during this week, please stop by during the virtual office hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m. Well, that's it for now, everyone. Have a great week. Bye.